Hello, I'm Steve Zappe, Senior Product Manager at Minitab. In this webinar, I will be introducing you to two key offerings within the Minitab Solution Center: the interactive capabilities of Minitab Dashboards and our first integration of artificial intelligence in the Minitab Statistical Software web application. I'll demonstrate just how easy Minitab Dashboards can be for exploring and visualizing your data and producing customizable and repeatable summaries that can be shared with others. And we'll take a closer look at how Minitab AI can help you accelerate and simplify your analyses in Minitab Statistical Software. But first, let me provide a brief overview of the Minitab Solution Center. The Minitab Solution Center is a brand new offering with your Minitab subscription that provides a comprehensive set of cloud-based solutions in a single web application, which leverages cloud repository integration with Microsoft OneDrive or Google Drive for seamless file access, navigation, and storage. At the heart of the Minitab Solution Center is Minitab Statistical Software, our market-leading analytics solution. With Minitab Statistical Software, you can analyze historical data to discover trends, find and predict patterns, uncover relationships between variables, and create stunning visualizations to help you solve your business problems. Minitab project files are fully compatible between the desktop and web applications, so you can begin your analytical problem solving with all of the additional cloud-based solutions exclusively available in the Minitab Solution Center, and continue that workflow with a Minitab project opened in the desktop application. Alternatively, you can bring your existing Minitab projects into the cloud where additional problem solving and exploration can be done within the Minitab Solution Center. To initiate cloud repository access with Microsoft OneDrive or Google Drive, you can access the Sign In button for each integrated repository by selecting the corresponding repository name. Once you are signed in, you can then navigate across all the files and folders saved within the selected repository, including items that have been shared with you and files that you have recently accessed. You also have the option to manage the status of autosave along with the default save location for newly created projects and files. For this webinar, I will be highlighting the functionality available in Minitab Dashboards. Let's jump in and take a closer look. I'll select Minitab Dashboards to get started and choose Add Data to access a data source to begin our exploration. For this demonstration, I will be using data from a CSV file called Pretzel Acceptability, located in a folder on my Microsoft OneDrive repository, which contains data about factors that affect quality characteristics of baked pretzels in a manufacturing setting. Upon selecting the file, I am presented with a preview of the data in this file along with some data cleaning options presented on the left of this preview window. This preview is really nice to get a quick glance at the type of data in my file. Notice as I scroll through the preview of the variables, I can pretty quickly tell which are categorical in nature and which are continuous. And for the continuous variables, I get a rough idea what the distribution of the data appear to be from the histograms at the top of each column. For example, flour size certainly looks like it is bimodal, whereas gelatinization temperature appears to follow a normal distribution. At this point, I'm confident that this data is in good shape, so I will choose the Load button. In the Data panel, I can click on the file name to expand the complete list of variables and their types in the file. Now that I have a data connection established, I am ready to start exploring my data and building a dashboard. Choosing the Assets button on the left rail opens the Assets panel that displays all of the data visualization and analytical tools that I can choose from to add to my dashboard. There are many different types of graphs for exploring your data, like bar charts, box plots, histograms, and more. There are also quite a few process quality tools and control charts, as well as image and text assets for adding some context and style to a dashboard. These slicer controls can be added for dynamic filtering of your dashboard elements based on selected criteria, allowing you to focus on specific categories or investigate particular numeric or date ranges. I will demonstrate this in a bit. For now, I'd like to create a dashboard that will help to explore a few of the factors involved in the manufacturing process of baked pretzels. In particular, I'd like to look more closely at these 4 process variables. Gelatinization temperature is the temperature when a heating process produces a complete gel. Kiln method, whether the process in the kiln uses a single pass or multiple passes. Kiln temperature is the temperature setting of the kiln where the pretzels dry following the bake time. And total bake time, the total amount of time that the dough is in the oven. I'll start with a process capability report for gelatinization temperature. I select and drag normal capability from the asset panel over onto the canvas of the dashboard. Notice that I can position this asset card anywhere on the grid and drop it on the desired area. If you don't quite get it right, you can always reposition the asset later. I see that on the normal capability asset card that now sits on the canvas area is pointing to pretzel acceptability data, but I need to identify the specific source variable and specify any options. To do this, I choose the Open button. This will open the dialog box that some of you may be used to seeing in Minitab Statistical Software. I add gelatinization temperature as the data column and 1 for the subgroup size. I enter the lower and upper spec limits 59.9 and 60.1 respectively, and in the Options subdialog, I can add a target value of 60. Then I choose OK. If I make a mistake or I want to change an input, I can choose the Open button on the top corner of the asset to reopen that dialog box. This report may look a little familiar to some of you, with several of the key process capability statistics displayed above the capability histogram. However, it does not display all of the capability statistics that you may be used to seeing on the full capability report in Minitab. These can be added as an additional option by choosing the Edit button from the top left corner of the report. This opens the Options panel on the right side of the application. Here, you can customize the title of the asset card or hide the title altogether. On the Graph Options tab, there are some display options that can be modified. I'm going to toggle on the option for displaying all capability statistics, which will add a hyperlink on the capability report. In presentation mode, viewers of the dashboard can click this hyperlink to open the full display of capability statistics. I'll show this in presentation mode after I get a bit further along in building my dashboard. Now let's add an individual moving range chart next to my capability report. I drag and drop the IMR chart asset from the list onto my canvas. Open the dialog and enter gelatinization temperature as the input variable and select OK. All right, this is starting to look pretty good. These are helpful visualizations to understand if the baking process for these data is meeting specification limits and if there is any unexpected variation over time with respect to the gelatinization temperature. Now I'd like to explore how some of the other process factors are related to gelatinization temperature. For that, I'm going to turn to the Tabulated Statistics tool. So I will find that asset in the list and drag it onto the canvas above the other 2 graphs that I previously created. Again, the drag and drop interface makes this really easy. And assets can be resized to get my preferred layout. I'll just drag the bottom right corner of the Tabulated Statistics asset to fit the space I want. Now I open the Asset dialog box and use the drag-and-drop interface of the Graph Builder to place the variables into the input fields that will help me explore the relationships I want to see. Gelatinization temperature will be my summarized variable, as that is what I'm wanting to explore, whether there may be some detectable differences or variation for different levels of the other factors like kiln method, kiln temperature, and total bake time. And I'll add kiln method and kiln temperature as row variables and bake time as a column variable. Then I'll choose OK. Great, this table is helpful to see where there may be some deviations from my target value of 60 for gelatinization temperature. I can see in this table that there are a few cells that are slightly higher than 60 and others that are slightly lower. Now, one last element that I'd like to add to my dashboard is a categorical slicer for Mix Tool. This will allow me to filter my current reports and graphs by the different levels of this categorical variable. When I drag this slicer onto the canvas, the Options pane automatically opens so that I can provide the inputs. I select Mix Tool as the variable, and I can change the default preset value if I want, but for now I will leave this to display all three mix tool types. Now let's take a look at the presentation view of my dashboard. In the upper right corner of the title bar, I select the Present button. This view preserves the size and layout of all of the assets and provides the ability to interact with the visualizations and slicers. I can also activate Focus Mode to get a complete view for any one particular dashboard asset. Let's do that for Process Capability Report. I can zoom into a portion of the capability histogram and click on the View All Statistics hyperlink to pop open the display to see all of the capability statistics. Focus Mode makes inspecting a particular asset much easier. I'll exit Focus Mode by choosing the X button on the top right corner. Now let's check out how the slicer works for Mix Tool. I can open the drop-down and select a particular value for Mix Tool. I will select Mix Tool 1. Notice all of the assets update to reflect only the observations for Mix Tool 1. I can do the same for Mix Tool 2 and 3. Slicers can be really helpful to quickly and easily investigate filtered views of your data without having to create separate data sets or worksheets. I've used a categorical slicer here in this dashboard, but numeric and date time slicers can also be added to filter based on specific numeric or date ranges. So that is a bit about Dashboard Presentation View. When I want to make any changes or add assets to the dashboard, I can easily jump back to Edit View by selecting the pencil icon in the top right corner of the title bar. Speaking of the title bar, notice that I can customize the title of my dashboard by clicking on the Untitled and typing in my own title, Pretzel Baking Process Variables. To the right of the dashboard title is an indication of the last time this dashboard was synced with its data source. If the data source were updated with new observations, say a new batch of pretzel data, I can select the Refresh Data button, and my entire dashboard would be updated to reflect this new data. This can be a very useful feature for customers wanting to periodically check or monitor their dashboard summaries as new data become available. At the far right of the title bar is the Export to PDF button, and as you would expect, the dashboard page can be exported to a PDF file and added to your Downloads folder. For this demo, I've created a pretty simple one-page dashboard based on a single data connection. But I want you to know that you can add multiple pages to your dashboard by opening the navigator and choosing the plus button at the top. The pages on your dashboard can be named, copied, reordered, or deleted using the menu items in the Additional Actions drop-down menu on any particular dashboard page. Another feature that I want to highlight that is not apparent on my dashboard is that dashboards can be built on multiple data connections. Say I have processed data from multiple baking facilities and they are each stored in different files. I can select the Open button on the left rail to add more data connections. This allows me to create a single dashboard that contains visualizations and reports from different data connections. So I want to take notice of something. As I have been building this dashboard sourced from a CSV file located on my OneDrive, I can see at the top center of the application all of my changes to this dashboard have been automatically saved to a file on OneDrive. I can select this file status control to access information and actions regarding this Minitab dashboard file. Here, I can turn on or off autosave and make changes to the name of the dashboard file, as well as the saved location in my cloud repository. I can also download a copy of the dashboard file to my local machine using the Download button. And finally, using the Share button at the bottom of this control, my dashboard file can be shared with others via my preferred cloud repository and can be set with editing privileges or as read-only. By exploring this data in the Minitab dashboard solution, I now have a better understanding of how gelatinization temperature relates to the other process variables like kiln temperature and kiln method and bake time. And filtering this dashboard by the different mix tools has also revealed some interesting findings. But I think I really need to do a more in-depth statistical study using Minitab Statistical Software. We have made this an easy transition. I will open the Data Connections panel and choose the More button on the right side of the Pretzel Acceptability file name. In this menu, I choose Open in Minitab. This will open a new instance of the Minitab web app and my data loaded into the worksheet. As you can see on the left rail, my Minitab dashboard project is still open and I can switch back to it at any point. Or if I'm done using it, I can choose the Close button on that file. Now that I am in Minitab Statistical Software, I would like to give a quick demo of an exciting new feature called Minitab AI. From my dashboard exploration of the pretzel baking process data, I noticed that switching between the different levels of mix tool using the categorical slicer seemed to reveal some potential undesirable variation in gelatinization temperature. So I'd like to see if there is any statistical significant difference in the average temperature across the three levels of mix tool. That calls for a one-way analysis of variance. But I'm not sure where that specific tool is located in the Minitab menus. So I'll just type one way into the search bar to get quick access to that tool. Okay, here is the dialog. I entered gelatinization temperature as the response and mix tool as the factor and select OK. I see lots of information here in the results. Some familiar tables and terms, but it may be a bit overwhelming if I don't recall exactly how to interpret this information. This is where Minitab AI can be a lifesaver. In the top right corner of the results is the Minitab AI button. Let's try it. A natural language summary of the Minitab results are generated and displayed in the pane on the right. As I scroll down, I can see several key findings are reported by the AI tool. As I suspected, there appears to be some practical difference in the average gelatinization temperatures across the three different mix tools, but it is not enough to be considered statistically significant. Mix tool type 2 certainly appears to be related to slightly lower gelatinization temperatures, so that may be worth noting or collecting more data on. and there very well may be other factors to consider. A few items to highlight with the Minitab AI tool. To be clear, this summary information is not produced by Minitab. It is leveraging Microsoft Azure OpenAI, and the content is not saved as part of the Minitab project. However, you can copy the summary text to your clipboard for use in your own reporting by selecting the Copy button at the bottom of the summary. If the AI service is interrupted before the summary generation can complete, you can try regenerating it using the middle Regenerate button. And if you find the summary text is not helpful, incorrect, or otherwise inadequate for your particular analysis, please share that feedback with us by selecting the thumbs down button. Our research and design team here at Minitab is continually evaluating the AI model performance, improving model prompts, and updating to new models as they become available. This is just our first step to integrating the power of generative AI within our solutions. Be on the lookout for more AI updates in the Minitab Solution Center coming soon. As with any new feature or enhancement, our goal is to help our customers gain insights into their data and solve business problems more efficiently and effectively. That completes my demonstration today of two of the new tools available in Minitab Solution Center, Minitab Dashboards and Minitab AI. I hope you found this webinar interesting and helpful,